The possible causes for malfunctioning of door locks in Type 928 cars and their elimination are shown in this film. The testing of door locks is demonstrated on the passenger's door, but the test must always be made on both doors. Open the doors and set the outside lock to closed position. Remove the ignition key and take off the central electric board cover. The electric test can be made with a standard test lamp. Electric power is supplied to the door locks via the CEL. Fuse number 21. Relay 6. CEL plug K, terminal 2. And via two 0.4 ampere wire fuses located behind or above the central electric board to the door plugs behind these side trim panels. Connect the test lamp on terminal 5, brown wire, ground, and terminal 13, red and white wire, positive. Of the door plug concerned. The test lamp should come on. The lamp must go out and come on again when the ignition is turned on and off. This guarantees that the electric circuit is okay up to the door plug. Connect the control wire terminal 15, yellow wire, and terminal 14, green and black wire, of the door plug on ground with a piece of wire. Both operating elements should lock or unlock. The door locks. In order to determine which door is causing the malfunction, press the brown wire, terminal 5, out of the plug with a standard pressing out tool. Then, connect the plug again. Lock the other door. If locking works correctly, the defect is in the door where terminal 5 has been disconnected. If a defect hasn't been found up to now, the following potentials on the relevant operating element plug have to be checked to complete the test circuit. Connect test lamp on brown wire and red and white wire. The test lamp must come on. After connecting the test lamp on the green and black wire, it must come on and go out again when the other door is locked. Connect the yellow wire. The test lamp must come on and go out when the door is unlocked. This completes the electric troubleshooting. Before checking the mechanical components, the locks must not have an electric defect, or the electric defect must first be eliminated. The door trim panel has to be removed to make the lock unit accessible. Unscrew the following screws: on knob, on inside operator, on air duct, in glove box, and on bottom of the door trim panel. The bearing plate is screwed on and only has to be unscrewed. After unclipping and removing the door trim panel, pull off the plastic sheet in the rear area carefully and remove the inside door recess seal from above. Then unscrew the lock cover. Lower the door window for removal. It's now possible to inspect the lock unit in position. Disconnect the transmission linkage on the operating element. Push the crank on. The motor must switch on and turn to the next position. This is the same test on a removed lock unit for better understanding. Crank pushed on, turning, pushed on again. The ball head of the crank must be in this position when in the unlocked position. Please mind your finger. There is danger of injury in this test. If operation is not as shown, or if the operating element moves hesitantly, it must be replaced. For this purpose, remove and inspect the operating elements outside and inside the door locks of both doors. Check the manufacturing date of operating elements, which is stamped on the outside of the housing, because the motors have had an electronic brake since March 1981. Replace older components. Different modifications have been introduced to improve the operation of inside door locks. There is additional balancing on the new lock right side in this figure. This prevents erroneous locking together with the cam on the operating lever base. An opening is provided in the bottom area. Only inside door locks with index 05 should be used. The transmission linkage between the operating element and inside door lock has a modified progressive action spring and is part of the new operating element. The new outside door lock, right side in this figure, has a flat surface on the side of the operating pin. The new operating elements, which are supplied in locked position, must be unlocked as preparation for installation. This is done by supplying electric power to the operating element and pushing on the crank until the motor switches on and turns to unlocking position. The lock unit is assembled in removed state. First, press the operating cable into the holder firmly. Then, connect the pull cable on the operating lever and secure with a clip. Now, screw the operating element on the inside door lock. Screw in screws only hand tight at this point. Connect only the inside lock end of the transmission linkage first and secure with a clip. Place the lock unit in the door, check that there is no tension, and screw it on the outside lock. Use M6x8 screws to mount operating elements on the inside door panel. Longer screws would impair operation of the crank. Only screw in these screws hand tight at first. Tighten the screws on the outside lock firmly, however. Press the crank against the stop to connect the transmission linkage. Hold the ball socket above the ball pin of the crank. They must align precisely. If they're not aligned, adjust the position of the mounting holes accordingly. Never use force to press in the linkage. Now, tighten the screws. Adjustments are just as important as the described installation procedures. Turn the door key fully into unlocked position and hold it there to check the operating rod between the lock cylinder and inside door lock. Also check the distance between the lock cylinder housing and dog. It must not exceed 2.5 millimeters. If the drive dog is positioned incorrectly, loosen the outside lock mounting screws and adjust the lock unit. If this adjustment is not sufficient, open up the holes in the door with a file. Distance excessive, move up. Distance insufficient, move down. Adjust the operating rod between the outside door handle and lock so that it can be pressed into the ball head without tension. Check whether the rod can move freely, filing off edge on base for outside door handle if necessary. The pull cable for inside operation is adjusted so that there is 1 to 2 millimeters play before the lock is activated. It should be possible to press in the inside catch button at least 3 millimeters or more before the operating elements start to work. Check this point before installing the door trim panel. Check whether the knob can be turned easily after assembling the door. One more tip. Don't tighten the knob's mounting nut too tight to avoid stripping the threads. This film is based on Technical Information number 8, dated December the 20th, 1982. The new parts and corresponding Porsche part numbers are listed in this bulletin. Your Porsche Service School wishes you much success in troubleshooting and eliminating defects.